Have you ever tried to cd into a directory as sudo? If you haven't, go ahead and give it a shot. I'll wait. It didn't let you change directories, did it? It also gave you an error saying cd is a shell built-in and cannot be run directly. Pretty much similar to the one that you're seeing on my screen currently, or exactly the one you're seeing on my screen currently. This has nothing to actually do with the sudo command. It actually has to do with something called shell built-ins. Have you heard of them? No? All right, well, let me tell you all about them. This is B from TatOG Tech, and today I'm going to tell you all about shell built-ins. Stick with me. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know if you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comment section below. And lastly, make sure you stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. All right. So we are here on the desktop. But before I get into more detail, if you're not sure what a shell is, go check out the video I did a while back covering this topic. It's a really good watch. Now, I also want to explain how regular programs get executed in Linux, just to kind of differentiate those between that and a shell built-in. You know, when I talk about how a program is executed, I mean how the program runs. So in the shell, when you run a command such as ls, you're actually executing the utility ls, which has its own executable in the user bin directory. So let me actually show you that. And you can actually see that where the executable is located by using the which command. And we can see here user bin ls. Now, user bin and user bin ls, user bin and user sbin. I'm going to run a command here so I can show you something. What I'm doing here is I'm actually just putting out a long listing, and this should actually not be an S, it should be a D. I'm doing a long listing of just the directories for /bin and /sbin, as well as /user bin and user sbin. These curly brackets around these terms separated by a comma, that actually allows you to create a list of things. So when you're executing it, I'm basically saying, hey, give me both of these for each of these inputs. So let's go ahead and execute that. And whoops. Why didn't that work? I don't understand why that didn't work. There we go. All right, so we have bin right here and sbin. They're actually symbolically linked, which we can see here by these arrows to these right here. And these are the actual directories. And you can see here that there's really no size to them. So that kind of gives you an indication, especially with one like user. It's got a lot of user binaries in there. So this makes way more sense than this does. But I wanted to go ahead and give you that context. So like in the root directory, it's bin and sbin, and they're again symbolically linked to user bin and user sbin for compatibility purposes. So you will hear people refer to user bin and user sbin being just referred to as bin or sbin directories. They're referring to the same thing. It's also just shorter to put in, and also, you know, it's just easier to say as well. But yeah, but when the shell executes a non-built-in utility, it does so from the path variable. That's how it knows where these executables are. So if we actually go in here and let's clear this out, when we do an echo, and then we do here, we can actually see the path here, and this is where it does. It starts here from the left and it goes to the right. So if, like when it's executing non-shell built-ins, it's like, hey, let me check here. in user local bin, user bin, slash bin, slash user, slash local, slash games, and then user games. It's checking those from left to right to see if it can find that program. If it doesn't find it, it doesn't run it. But typically, it's going to find it in there if you've installed everything just normally. Now, this differs from a built-in. A built-in is built directly into the shell and is part of the shell utility, which is exactly what CD is. So anytime that you're using CD, we just go to CD etc. When you execute that command, it's actually being run directly in the shell by itself and does not have to call an external program. When you execute, as usual, there is going to be a man page for these built-ins. Let me actually show that to you here. Let's do man built-ins. And here you go, and it actually gives you a list of all of the shell built-in commands, as well as gives you more information on those commands, which is super helpful. Now, one of the things that I do want to make clear is that there are no man pages for the actual commands themselves, but you can proceed them by help to get more information. Let me actually show that to you. So if you try to do man cd, no manual entry for cd, but we can do help cd, and there we go. Now we get more information on cd. Gives us some options and all that kind of good stuff. So remember, if you're working with shell built-ins and you're looking for options, go ahead and hit do help and then the command. For any other commands that are not shell built-ins, then you would use man for those. All right, so let me clear this out. And now let's go ahead and let's do a cat on. Hold on, let me make sure this is. Oh, I'm not in the right spot. There we go. That's why. And this is not. This is just a document I created called Builtins, so this is not something that's on each system. But I wanted to go ahead and just kind of give you some of the commands that are most common that you'll most commonly come into contact with. Because some of those I've never used. A good like more than half of them I've never used. And that's not unheard of. You know, that's what the programs are for. Is they're meant to enhance the user experience and stuff and make using your Linux system usable. So yeah, CD of course we've seen that tons of times on this channel. Echo is an interesting one because Echo is a shell built-in, but we do which Echo, you can actually see that there is a user binary for Echo. And then we also do man Echo. We've got a man page for it. And we've got a help entry for it. So it is actually, it looks like it's both. You know, it looks like you have it as a built-in, but you also have it installed on the system. Why that's done, I have no idea. I don't know if that's something that's done across multiple distributions, but it is a thing. So yeah, interesting, right? Let's go back to the. Actually, let's clear this up first. Let's go back to the built-ins. And then FG, that's how you put a task in the foreground. If you put it in, if you made it run in the background. BG is how you make a task run in the background. Not going to be showing those in this video, but it is something that you can come into contact with, especially when working with processes and stuff like that. History, history. When we do this, we're actually interacting with the history, all that stuff. Jobs lets you list the tasks running in the background. This one is pretty easy to show you, but there's nothing running in the background. So, kill allows you to kill processes. This is just the base kill command. And then you have print working directory. And also, we're not going to go into the kill command. That's a whole nother video. That's a shell built-in. Can't run sudo with it. And then umask, which was kind of surprising. I was like, wow, of all the commands that I like, the other ones kind of make sense, but this one I was like, interesting, because umask is used to set default permissions on a file. But you can't do anything else with permissions, and you can do very little with files using the shell built-in. So I thought that was very, very interesting that was actually included in the shell built-in. So yeah, interesting, right? Now going back to the sudo command not working with CD. I wanted to go ahead and cover this just to kind of make it a little bit more understandable why this is happening. So the reason that this does not work is because sudo is a program and cd is built in. So sudo can only run with other non-built-in utilities, and that's why, because it's already like searching through the path. When we do sudo, it has to go to the path. So it's like things that are after that, it's looking for more path stuff. I don't know 100% if this is exactly what's happening, but this is kind of what I suspect, is that it doesn't have a way to go from going the programs, using the path, and then going back to the shell built-ins. It just doesn't know how to do that, or it's not programmed into it, or something like that. That's what I suspect. I'm not 100% sure, but I do feel comfortable enough sharing that, because that's what it does seem like it is. So, you know, but yeah, that's why it's not working. So just remember that you can't use sudo with cd commands with built-ins, because they're built-in commands and they don't work together. So there you go. Now you know more about shell built-ins, probably more than you knew at the beginning of this, because I knew of them, I just didn't know as much about them until I made this video. And this was another video that I am doing on the way to doing another video, because I was like, oh, hey, look, here's something interesting. And when I learn something interesting, I want to share it with all of you, because I never pretend that I'm an expert on anything in life. I am just a guy making videos on YouTube that helped me learn, that I also want to help you learn. So make sure you check out this other video from my channel. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.